Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas. I've got special guest, my son, Bos Salas. We're stoked to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, what you guys don't know about Bo is he's a beginner level surfer. So you're riding a soft top, right? You're catching the wave, you're angling, popping to your feet's not a problem, and now you want to start turning.
Right.
One of the things that Bo is progressing quickly in is as these surf skates come in, I'm testing them and riding them. You're riding them too.
Right.
Would you say you have a personal opinion on each board?
Yeah, I'd say I have a personal opinion.
And you like certain ones over others?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what this episode's about. I'm going to be talking from a pure surfer's perspective, what each board feels like, what I like about each board, maybe even what I don't like about certain boards. And Bo's going to talk about it from a beginner surfer's perspective, and Bo's also an excellent skateboarder. So what kind of skateboarding do you do?
I do mostly street skating. I like to do flat ground kick flips, ollies, and pop shove-its. And I'd like to progress in my surfing and my style on a skateboard.
I'm working on stuff with Bo, but I look at him when he gets on these boards, he just starts to do what Bo does.
Right.
Right? And then he kind of tells me what he feels and then what questions he has towards me on each of these boards. And I feel like a lot of that's going to happen between the two of us will answer a lot of questions for you guys. Now, I've also got Aaron behind the camera, who's an avid surfer that loves to surf, maybe doesn't surf as much as they'd like, but he has an opinion on a Carver surf skate at least. He hasn't even ridden the rest of these, and I'm not well versed in riding each of these, so this is going to be super fun, guys. Sit back, get your favorite drink, enjoy the show. Now, before we get out there and test each surf skate and talk about what they feel like, I want to point out that all 5 of these boards are similar in one aspect, is that they all generate speed and pivot more or less from the front truck. So this swivel on the slide skate is going to give me a tighter turning radius, and as we push from rail to rail, it will help us generate speed. Now, when I look at each of the surf skates, the back trucks are similar to a regular skateboard, which will also help us generate speed. This is the Carver Rad Ripper with the C7 truck. You can see it's pretty loose, and the looser I keep this truck, the sharper the turning radius. Now, this is the Felipe Smoothstar 77 model, and it has its own swivel front truck. This is the Waterborne, and I would say it's swiveling similar, but it actually kind of comes out and pivots more or less this way. And then this is the Mick Fanning Yow, and it has its own unique movement on the front truck. So we're going to get out there, put these boards through the paces. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, we're on a very smooth surface basketball court. I have certain cones set up over there. I have some here in the middle for like a roundhouse cutback. And then I have these cones over here that are really close that I want to hit real quick. Now, what's important to me as I ride each one of these surf skates is the way it generates speed, the way I can compress and extend through turns. So all these boards are made to generate speed by twisting. And when we twist, they go and you don't need to push. However, I like to do side to side and compress extend. And I feel like when I hit these cones, what I'm working on as a surfer is I want to compress into the turn, shift my weight forward, extend out of the turn, go into the next turn. And this really helps me with flow and proper techniques for surfing. I'm going to ride each board through the little course that I built, and then I'll be able to tell which board I like best. Remember I said earlier in this episode is that all these boards are designed to generate speed and turn from the front truck. What's important to me is what is the back truck doing to help increase my speed, my pivot, and to most feel like surfing. So I'm going to start with the Rad Ripper with the C7 truck. This is what I'm most comfortable with, and I ride this skateboard all the time. So just a couple pumps to get my feet set. As I generate my speed, here's my bottom turn. I'm going to compress in. I'm going to do my top turn. I'm going to hold my bottom turn, and then I'm going to start working my speed. I'm going to hit my roundhouse, compress in, hold it, extend out, compress in, extend out. Now I'm going to hit my cones over here. It's getting tight, and it's a little bit hard for me to hit those. Overall, it felt pretty good. After hitting my first run through the track, I did like that familiar feel, riding the carver, hitting my bottom turn, top turn, all that's very familiar to me. One of the things I notice is I'm pushing through those turns. Sometimes I can feel the front truck going like that as I'm coming out of a turn. And I felt like I did okay on the roundhouse, but when I came into the tight cones, it was a little bit of a struggle to go cone to cone and still generate speed through those cones. Now the next board is the Smoothstar Philippe Toledo 77 model. It's a little bit longer than the Carver. Let's get a push, generate some speed, get my feet set. Since the board's longer, I'm gonna hold my foot a little further up, bottom turn, top turn, hit my bottom turn and start generating some speed. We're gonna hit this roundhouse, bottom turn, hold, extend out, compress in, start working for speed again, hit my cones. Now my initial thoughts on the Smoothstar, since it's longer, I had to actually shorten my stance a bit, so I was surf skating it from here, not from the back of the board. And then I felt like I had a bit more control. Now, going into these turns and generating the speed, the Smoothstar really wanted me to shift my weight forward, going through the turns and push hard from the front leg, not so much the back leg. The more I tried to sit back on the Smoothstar, the board tightened up, and it didn't want to give me that burst of speed. And for me, it's personally hard to not plant the back foot to initiate the turn, because that's what I do in surfing. And then as I go into a turn, I start to shift my weight forward and drive through that turn, which the Smoothstar wants to do very well. Now coming into my roundhouse, it felt pretty good. I started my turn a little bit earlier, and then I held it longer and I came out with pretty good speed there, but the board feels tight anytime I step back. Now on the cones, on the quick transitions, for me to hit those cones well and not hit those cones, I'm gonna have to drive this board solely off the front foot, which is not my style in surf skating. I feel like surfing is more or less back foot is where it initiates, and then we shift our weight forward and we drive through the turn after we plant the initial turn that we're starting with. Now this is the slide surf skate. I've ridden this one very little. Let's give it a go. My feet set. Oh yeah. Feel like it's really coming off the back foot and the front foot. Able to hit it right here and then get my speed up. Oh, this feels good. More or less off the back foot and front foot combined. Really hold into it, extend out, compress in. Now I'm gonna hit my turns. Now, right when I jumped on the slide, the first pump or two, I felt like I had speed on demand. And for me, it was about pushing with both feet. I had the back truck engaged and the front truck, and it felt like it was working together. When I hit the first turn, I felt like I could generate speed anytime I wanted with less of the extending out of the turns. It didn't take much to move this board and get the speed I was looking through for the first set of cones. Coming into the roundhouse, I remember coming around this turn right here is I put it on toe side rail and I was holding it for a long time, and then I extended out and able to finish that roundhouse relatively easy without a lot of focus on when do I extend to get out and have that speed. And then these cones, I kind of feel like that's a flat section on wave from going from one peak to the next, and able to hit that real quick, I could generate the speed real fast. Now, there's something unique here where I'm utilizing the back truck and the front truck together. Yeah, if I want to push hard, I can extract a little bit more speed from the front truck, the way it swivels or pivots, but the back truck offered the speed I was looking for as I set the turn. The only thing negative I'll say about this is the hot butter model is it's a relatively old school board design. So there's not a lot of concave, nothing really helping me to keep my feet in, but the truck design is epic. It's definitely unique compared to these two, feeling a bit more like surfing, and I'm sure they make other models that have more concave. Now this is the Yao Mick Fanning model, a little bit bigger again, but it has a lot of concave. It's pivoting quick. Feels good off the back foot and the front foot. Hit this turn, come out of it. Now we start to go. That feels good. A little bit looser on the front truck. Feels good. Coming out of these turns, no problem. Hit this little flat section. Now jumping on the Mick Fanning model, first couple pumps, had that speed, a little bit looser compared to the slide, but when I came into the first turn, it felt like it was back truck and front truck working together, getting the compress and extend through the cones, able to come out of the turns with as much speed as I wanted. Now, coming into the roundhouse, I held the turn a little bit tighter on the bottom cone and able to get through that with good speed and not a lot of effort. But on the last session here with all the cones, I felt like I hit it with this board the best so far out of all the testing. The board's super responsive. It gave me exactly what I'm looking for. And I'll say this, what I could tell you that I felt, it wasn't just about the front and back truck design. It also had to do with the concave in the board. When I got the concave pushing back on my feet, I'm just feeling a little bit more connected to the deck, and I could push hard, and I feel like the deck's actually complementing the way I'm pushing through the rails. Very similar, I would say, the slide and the yaw. Excellent front and back truck, feeling a lot like surfing. Now the last board for testing is the Waterborne. Now this board's considerably shorter. Trucks are a little bit closer together. I'm gonna widen out my stance all the way just to utilize all of the board to my advantage, but feeling super responsive, pivoting and generating speed from the back and the front truck. Now as I come, I don't have to work too hard to generate speed, but I do feel like I need a little more rail line. Coming out of that turn, starting my one extra pump, but look how quick I hit those cones. Now this little board, I mentioned it's shorter. I extended my stance as wide as I could get it. And when I say I can feel it pivoting faster, almost like the trucks are closer together. And when I pushed through turns, it was back and front truck working together. Felt just like surfing. This felt good too. However, when I hit my turns and I feel like the board's shorter, something in me wants to do an extra pump through the turn. Now, you can do that, that's fine. But for me, I lose flow when I'm hitting a turn and doing an extra pump. And I think we saw it on the cones over here, but let's talk about the roundhouse, hitting this, coming around in between the two cones. I felt like I'm losing a little bit of speed, but then I got it back as I came around the cone and extended out. And when I hit these last cones here, I felt like I could pump real fast. And that's what I like about riding a shorter surfboard in a flat section. It's so responsive. I can get in a quick, tight transition. And I felt like this board did that the best purely because of how short the board is, and how close the trucks are. But I did take an extra pump going in, and I kind of cheated, but it made it look and feel the easiest out of all the boards. Now on the truck design, I would say there's also something special and unique. Front truck, back truck working together, feeling a lot like surfing. All right guys, you don't know this, but Aaron, Bo, and I set up this obstacle course, and we've been putting all 5 boards through the paces. Aaron, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Pick 2 out of the 5 that are your favorite and tell us why.
Okay, yeah, I actually like the slide and I like the waterboard. Just because it's got that quick responsiveness, but I really struggled trying to extend and compress in it. I just felt like everything happened so quick, I couldn't really get into any sort of flow with the board.
Sure.
You know, and then when I jump on the slide, it feels like something that I remember just coming off the bottom and everything, but I still want that. I guess I want it a little bit more responsive, but I also think it's because I don't spend enough time on it. Right. So I think that will come, but I think that I just need a lot of work.
Yeah. One of the things that I saw, Aaron, for the most part, you're hitting your turns, you're on their toe side, you're holding it fine. It's really about extending out of that turn, really knowing how you're gonna find the speed, because you come out of your last turn with no speed, but I really feel like if you could just work on compress and extend while you hit those rails, and you're already onto it yourself, and I agree, the slide looked better on you. You had a little more rail line, a little bit more controlled. All right, Bo, you've ridden all 5 boards multiple times. Give me your 2 favorite out of the 5 and why.
I think my 2 favorite would have to be the slide Surfskate and the yaw Surfskate.
Which one's your favorite?
I really love both these boards, but I think I'd have to go with the yaw. And the reason why I'd go with it is because I really like the concave on the rails of the boards. I feel like it fit my foot like a glove, and I had more confidence to push harder around the turns.
What's funny is when I was watching you, you were pushing way harder on the yow. Push, push, rail, 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 and you've got no glide.
Right.
And the only time when you actually gained speed through your turns was on your toe side turns. You actually got into it and compressed. And then once you came out of that, you were twisting to gain speed. It just looked like this. It didn't look like this, right? And then you came in here and you lost it on your roundhouse because you're coming in and you're pushing too hard on your rails. That's what I saw personally. And when you got on the slide, you didn't have to push as hard. You had way more flow.
Right.
And you were compressing and extending in both the heel and the toe side turns. And when you came in, you actually got through the whole obstacle course, minus running over the last cone, but you didn't have to overturn it.
Right.
And it had the flow. When I talk about flow for our community, it's the ease of carrying speed or generating speed and hitting turn to turn with the least amount of effort, and it looks smooth and fun.
Right.
So you can still have your favorite for the yow. I just feel like maybe you're pushing too hard and you don't need to push that hard. Push one time and let the board have some glide to it. Now I know you guys are gonna ask me, after putting each of these boards through the paces, which board did I like the best? Well, for me, surfing off the back foot and the front foot is super important to me. Setting that initial turn with the back truck is huge. So that's gonna bring me into these three boards right here are my finalists. Now, what I liked about the yow is it had a bigger board with the concave, and I felt like I hit this particular course on this board the best. So because of that, it's definitely a finalist. This board felt a little short for me, but I like the track system and setup and the way it Surfskates. So I'm gonna put this one back, and it's gonna be between the slide and the yow. Now, I've been riding this one a little bit just on flat ground, getting ready for this, and I felt like this one suits my style with a little bit more driving it off the back truck. And then if I had the right board, the right deck with the concave, I think the slide is the best board for me and what it feels like on underfoot. So to my surprise, I'm giving slide first place for the way I want to surf skate. This feels most like surfing to me. And another thing I would say is that if I was skating any kind of bowls or transition, I would definitely want a board with a little bit more concave. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode and our review of these 5 Surfskates. Bo, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Look guys, if you're looking to progress your surfing, or maybe you don't live by the ocean and you just want to get into surf skating, hopefully we've answered a lot of your questions. If you like the show, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and give us a thumbs up if you like our content. Until next time, we'll see you in the water. Bye-bye.